This is KPPQ LP Ventura, 104.1 FM, and we're in the Women's Room, where we appreciate and support each other. I'm your host, Kathleen Good. I'm here today with Mary Olson, who is president of the Ventura Friends of the Library, a nonprofit service organization dedicated to raising money for the library and best known for their sales of donated used books. We're so happy to have you here today, Mary.
Hi, glad to be here.
Okay, let's talk about books. Now, what is your personal relationship to books?
Well, like a lot of kids, I probably started with Nancy Drew and the Bobbsey twins and other mystery type stories. My first memory of a library is going to the park to meet up with the bookmobile and choose my books there. And then I moved on to science fiction, which is still my favorite genre, actually.
So how long have you been a member of the Friends?
I've been a member since 2009. I walked into Wright Library one day and saw people sitting around this table, and I heard the horrible idea that that library was going to be closed. So I walked up and I said, "Is this an open meeting?" And they said, "Sure, sit down." And we did not succeed in saving Wright Library, but from then on, I was a member of Friends of the Library.
So what is the most rewarding aspect of your service to Friends?
Well, I think it's working with all the other people who also truly appreciate libraries and books. That's one thing. All the volunteers are pretty nutty for books. And when these donations of books come to us, we just kind of go crazy looking at all the different things and being surprised by who thought anybody would write about that.
Oh my gosh, I can really relate to that because I'm a book lover as well. So besides fundraising for the library, what is another motivation for reselling used books?
Oh, well, we really are, well, because we think that books are very valuable things, and the idea that any of them being discarded or not coming up to their best use is something we can't tolerate. And so we are part of the whole ecosystem of books. We receive the donations, and then we try to use them to their highest value, resell them to people who will be interested in those books. And we also donate books to a lot of other organizations. And then we've gone to selling on Amazon, so that when we receive a book that could not be sold in the local area very quickly, then it can go on Amazon, where it can stay for quite a while till it finds the person that wants that particular book. So we have the system of reselling in our little store, reselling in Amazon, having the larger sales that are open to the public. And then after that, the books go to what we call bulk buyers. If it's been, through all those possibilities, been through a sale, still hasn't sold, then it goes to the bulk buyer, which if you go to Amazon and you look for a book and you see new and used from, and then you click on that used, you'll see the list of everybody who's selling that book used. And there's things like Thrift Books, Discover Books, and they actually, at that point, they will take one more pass through those books to see if it's saleable. And if not, they will be pulped, which is reduced to pulp to become new paper.
New paper. And so are you also thinking of keeping books out of the landfill?
Definitely. And that's the process, by the way we do it, by moving it into all these different sources. Oh, and the used bookstores in town also will buy books from us. Ours are priced low enough that they can buy them from us and then sell them at a higher price than we would have asked for. But they have, different clientele, and can hold it on the shelf for longer and things like that.
Right, right. Wow, what an operation. So, do you think hard copy books will eventually go out of style with all the electronic readers replacing them? And have you
I
seen any signs of this?
I don't think so. Most people now are reading in multiple modalities. And there was a Pew study that came out in 2019 when they asked of people who have read books over the past year, and they found that 65% had read print books over that past year. And what the kind of book that they found that was growing in popularity was audiobooks. Over the
Oh,
years since 2012 to 2019, they're seeing more people using audiobooks. And
oh,
there was also another study that came to the conclusion that the holding the book in your hand and turning the pages, you actually retain more of what you read. It's like having multiple sensory modalities and
uh-huh.
dealing with what you're reading really is better for your retention of what you're reading.
So that kinesthetic,
Yeah.
movement of turning the page actually sets it in your memory.
Yeah, when
Interesting.
I always say too, my thumb knows if I'm at the book club and I want to refer to something, my thumb knows where it is. But if it's on
Ah.
an electronic reader, it's harder to find.
Right, right. Yeah, well, I'm with you. I've tried a reader, but I just prefer the book because I love the
Mhm.
book so much. Let's talk about the history of the Friends. Who was the creator of the organization in Ventura?
Well, the Friends began in 1969, and actually, we fortunately we did have a brief. We just had well, it's the 69, so our 50th anniversary was 2019 when those of us who are current members started looking at up the old uh, scrapbooks and things that people had kept. And it was the director of the Library Services Agency at that time, Catherine Chadwick, who, when she became director, said one of her top priorities was the establishment of local plural friends of the library groups. And so that's when our group was founded in 1969.
Oh, oh. So, is it fair to say that most all library systems have a Friends service organization?
I don't know if it's most, but
Oh,
there are a lot of them. I can say that.
right, right. Because I've heard a friends tell me that who live in other states that they go to the Friends of the Library to get books. So,
And there is an organization that's associated with the American Library Association called United for Libraries, and that's kind of an organization of friends groups. And you can become a member, and there's webinars, and then there's forums where people discuss their different issues as being a friends group.
uh-huh. Okay. Well, good to know. So while we're on history, I love the story of Andrew Carnegie, who was a rich industrialist and philanthropist of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He had a great idea that would eventually be the costliest in terms of value philanthropic project in history. Could you tell us a little about that?
Well, again, when we hit that 50th anniversary, it occurred to me I didn't know where Friends of the Libraries groups came from. And so I started looking that up, and I found through the United for Libraries an article from 2004 where it said that when Andrew Carnegie gave grants to cities and towns to start libraries, that was his form of philanthropy because he thought philanthropy should go to the people who are wanting to help themselves. And in his mind, people who wanted to help themselves were using libraries to improve their circumstances in life.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
he began going to different towns and offering grants to the local governments to build libraries. But there were conditions on that. They had to get support from public sources, not just private donations. They had to provide free service to all, and they had to commit to staffing the libraries and keeping them going over a period of time. And this really started a library boom. In 1898, the U.S. Board of Education found there were only 637 public libraries in the United States. When the Carnegie grant started around the turn of the century, by 1919, there were 3,500 public libraries across the country. Only about half of them actually received grants from Carnegie, but he sort of started a viral meme that towns should have a library.
Uh-huh.
And so we
Wow.
can definitely thank him for that. And at the same time, women's groups were becoming more, groups of women citizens were becoming more common because the women wanted a way to be part of the public life at this time, even before they could vote. And so these women groups were very active in forming the library support groups that were committed to raising funds and volunteering for the libraries in these towns. So they kind of became the basis of the Friends of the Libraries. Whether or not they used that expression, Friends of the Library, it was their purpose.
So women were volunteering. Now, that is a question I wanted to ask you. Do you have mainly women who volunteer for
We
your?
actually still do. It's still mainly women who volunteer.
You have a few guys who lift the books, the boxes of books.
No, definitely, yes. But we keep trying. We do have several men that we go to for extra help when a lot of lifting has to be done. And the local Lions clubs here and Rotary clubs have helped us out at the larger book sales where we require more heavy lifting. Also, we get volunteers from the high schools too.
Oh, wow.
Boy
Okay.
Scouts too.
Oh, well, the story of Andrew Carnegie is just really a terrific one. I've had the pleasure of being in a couple of Carnegie libraries, the one in Santa Monica when we lived there briefly about 20 years ago. And that's how I found out about the Carnegie libraries. I thought, what a great idea that was. I mean, to help people help themselves. I don't think there's any more democratic idea. And our listener may want to know that there is a Carnegie Library in Oxnard. It is now a art museum, and it's built in temple style, which not all, but many of them were, which is a Greek style with Doric columns, or the high white columns with grooves in. This seems just right for promoting knowledge. And there's also a Carnegie Library in Santa Barbara and Los Angeles. So if any of you are interested in Carnegie Libraries, you can still go see them. So let's talk about what you do with all the books. Now, we hit on it a little bit, but what happens? People donate a box of books to you. What is the process you use to go, to get them to all the places that you get them to?
Okay, well, the county has given us some space to use at the county yard in Saticoy. It's like a temporary building, and we've been allowed to use this space to store books. So now, while we can't do any of the processing we used to do a lot in Foster Library, but obviously nobody's going into Foster Library right now. So we receive donations of books. We will accept donations at Hill Road on Tuesdays from 1 to 3 p.m. and on Saturdays from 10 to noon. We'd ask only for 2 boxes or bags at that time because all we have is our volunteer with their cars. Larger donations will be accepted at the storage area at the Saticoy County Yard, and you can make an appointment to bring a larger donation there by emailing bookstore@venturafriendsofthelibrary.org. bookstore@venturafriendsofthelibrary.org.
Okay, thank you very much. And we're going to pause here for station ID. This is KPPQ LP Ventura, 104.1 FM, and we're in the women's room where we appreciate and support each other. I'm your host, Kathleen Good. My guest today is Mary Olson, who is president of the Ventura Friends of the Library, a nonprofit service organization dedicated to raising money for the library. Okay, and we're back, and I'd like to have Mary continue, who is telling us, how and where books are donated, and then what process they go through to get them into their own little ecosystem of book selling.
So right now we are selling books through our website, and we are also selling on Amazon. The operation that we have now for selling books through our website is people go to the website, they order the books there, they pay for the books with a credit card, and then we have 2 times when these books can be picked up. And it will be at Hill Road Library, outdoors, from 1 to 3 p.m. on Tuesdays, and from 10 to 12 a.m. on Saturdays. And at that time, as I said, we also would accept donations of books. So the donations of the books are taken to, we call it our warehouse. It's a little temporary building at the county yard in Satakoy. And they're brought, we have the one door is like a big double garage door that comes up. They're brought in there. There's an area where they remain for 72 hours because we have COVID protocols due to this situation. So the books are left for 72 hours. And then on mornings, Monday through Friday, we have volunteers that come in. We have temperature checks. Everyone has to wear masks. It's a large enough space where they can remain 6 feet apart from each other. And we have hand sanitizer and gloves there if they prefer to wear gloves. So after the books sit for 72 hours, our volunteers will start examining them. We have one volunteer that selects what should go to Amazon. It's books that are of particularly high value, books that are of value but only appeal to not a general audience, but more specific audience, so they'll have a better chance of selling on Amazon. So that person selects books, and then she takes them home and completes the process of listing and shipping and so forth from her home. And we have another person now that selects for what we're going to offer online at our bookstore, and the same thing, she will take those books home to list them. And then we do have an area at that warehouse sort of situation to where they're shelved. The other books, other volunteers will look at, price them, and shelve them in that storage locale by genre category. And those books are destined to go to a large book sale eventually when we're permitted to have them again. And so after we scan through all of that, and the books have been to a large sale, and then there we'll have the books by the bag type of sale.
So like a bag of science fiction,
right. You take a bag and fill it, and then you just pay by the bag. And then after that, if they still haven't sold, then they go to what we call the bulk buyer, which I described before, where they're ultimately either one more time try to be sold or pulped
Uh-huh.
so they are going into the recycling stream. Some donations we get are things that people, pulled out of a garage that's been in the box for 20 years. And sometimes there's a mold or insect issue that makes them, that they have to go in the trash. But we do our very best not to get any books into the trash.
Uh-huh. Right. So a message to people about donating books, donate them early rather than keep them around for years so that they're more usable. Wow.
Good plan.
I can't believe how organized you are and how much work that you go through. How many volunteers do you have approximately?
Okay, what I'd say we have on the board, we have a dozen people who are board members. And then our volunteers, I'd say we have around 50. Some of them are really, under the current circumstances, are kind of dormant right now, but we do have those that are still working on sorting books. And the biggest effort right now is keeping that online bookstore going, which has reached the point now where we have, I think, about 1,000 books listed right now. And it has grown almost to be the same size as the little bookstore we had inside of E.P. Foster Library.
Wow, well, I've ordered several times and I found some really great books. I will be donating some of those back. I'm such a book lover that some books I can't bear to get rid of right away, but I usually get rid of in a few months. Anyway, the online bookstore is a really great idea, and I think it might be appropriate to right at this time to give the website to our listener.
So our website is Ventura Friends of the Library.org, and you'll see the first thing on the homepage refers to the online bookstore, and there's a link, and you click on that, which will take you to the listings of books for sale.
And I notice that you have them organized into genres.
We do. We have a list of categories, so you can go to the category you want. The online bookstore is through the company Square Up. I'm sure everybody's familiar with Square. A lot of small businesses use Square for processing credit cards.
Uh-huh.
And that is the processor that we use. That does not have the capacity to search a title, but when you go to the page, either the category page or the shop all page, there's a pull down menu at the top where you can rearrange them in alphabetical order. So at least you can, it's like when you're trying to find a movie on Netflix, right? At least you can arrange it so if you know the exact title you're looking for,
you can
get them in alphabetical order.
Oh, okay.
Most people really are browsers when it comes to the online store.
They like to look through everything.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
What's
Yeah, it's a really good system too. You order, pay online, and then you go at the 2 times, Tuesday and Saturday, and the ladies have them all, in bags with your name on. I usually stand about 10 feet away and yell my name, and then they find it for me. It's really good. So how much money do you raise for the library through all the book sales?
Okay, well, there's, again, several ways that we raise money for the library. Membership fees that our members pay, donations, straight out donations that members make for one reason or another, and you can make a memorial donation in honor of someone.
Oh.
And then, of course, there are the book sales, but we also have, with the Ventura County Community Foundation, an endowment fund, so that people that donated to the library years and years ago are still providing for the library, because the foundation has that fund invested, and every year we can take money that was generated by that fund.
Okay.
So there's a combination of ways, and this year our final donation to the library added up to $54,000.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That's really impressive.
We were shocked. We were really afraid it wasn't going to be that good this year.
But the online bookstore and the book sales?
The endowment fund too.
Oh, right, right. So are you going to be having any more socially distanced book sales? Do you have any plans?
Well, unfortunately, what the news about the virus is not encouraging at all at this point. So we don't have a specific plan yet for another outdoor socially distanced sale. So we'll still be operating the online store and encourage everybody to take a look at what we have there. We don't know when we're going to be able to have those big sales outdoors.
So I was just wondering, you must get duplicate books donated. I mean, do you have any kind of special plan for duplicate books?
Oh, actually, we also give books away to other organizations too. We've had requests from the jail, from the homeless shelter.
Oh.
There's a group called Friends of the Field Workers that requested books. So we have also other places that we can donate the books to. Well, we got one donation, a large donation of duplicate books that were Popular Mechanics books about robotics, and we've been offering them to teachers who teach STEM or STEAM classes, science, technology, engineering, and math, and we have given enough of those for them to give to their robotics club, and I think we still have some. So we find outlets to give books when we have a lot of duplicates.
Right. So no matter what, your book is going to go to some good cause.
Right.
And you find it where your organization finds a way. I just have one more question. Do you feel that you're supporting democracy and equality with your work for the library?
Well, absolutely, because the library is one of the few places that really is open to everybody and does give you a pathway to improve your circumstances in life. You also can interact with, do a resume, get information of how to do a resume. Also, there was ways to participate in the census online through the library. The library now also is lending hotspots so that people can get more internet access.
For Wi-Fi.
Right,
Yeah,
right, for Wi-Fi.
Right, yeah.
So the whole purpose of the library is to allow people to participate in the life of their community. And we hope it'll be not too long before we can actually have meetings in person and coming to use equipment in the libraries.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Mary Olson, for being here to talk about the Friends of the Library and how the organization helps to support the library. The Friends of the Library website is venturafriendsofthelibrary.org. You can find out what events are happening, become a member, or buy online books from the bookstore. This is KPPQ LP Ventura, 104.1 FM, and we're in the Women's Room, where we appreciate and support each other. I'm your host, Kathleen Good.